The parable of the wheat and the tares. The parable of the wheat and the tares can be found in the New Testament in the Gospel of Matthew, specifically in Matthew chapter 13, verses 24 through 30. Here is the story of the parable of the wheat and the tares. Jesus told them another parable. The kingdom of heaven is like a man who sowed good seed in his field. But while everyone was sleeping, his enemy came and sowed weeds among the wheat and went away. When the wheat sprouted and formed heads, then the weeds also appeared. The owner's servants came to him and said, "Sir, didn't you sow good seed in your field? Where then did the weeds come from?" "An enemy did this," he replied. The servants asked him, "Do you want us to go and pull them up?" "No," he answered, "because while you are pulling the weeds, you may uproot the wheat with them. Let both grow together until the harvest. At that time I will tell the harvesters, 'First, collect the weeds and tie them in bundles to be burned. Then gather the wheat and bring it into my barn.'" In this parable, Jesus uses an agricultural metaphor to convey a spiritual lesson about the kingdom of heaven. Here's the explanation of the parable. The man who sowed good seed. This represents Jesus, who sows the good seed, symbolizing the children of the kingdom or the righteous. The enemy who sowed weeds. The enemy represents Satan, who sows weeds, symbolizing the children of the evil one or the unrighteous. The field. The field is the world or the present age, where both the righteous and the unrighteous coexist. The servants. The servants are the disciples or followers of Jesus. The weeds and wheat growing together. The parable emphasizes that in the world, both the righteous and the unrighteous will coexist until the final judgment. The harvest. The harvest signifies the end of the age, or the final judgment. Separation at the harvest. At the harvest, the owner, representing God, instructs the harvesters, angels, to first gather the weeds, unrighteous, and bundle them for burning, and then to gather the wheat, righteous, and bring it into the barn, the kingdom of heaven. This parable illustrates the coexistence of good and evil in the world, and the ultimate separation and judgment that will occur at the end of the age. It teaches that God, in his wisdom, allows both the righteous and the unrighteous to exist together until the appointed time for judgment, after which the righteous will be rewarded, and the unrighteous will face the consequences of their actions. The parable of the wheat and the tares, found in Matthew chapter 13, verses 24 through 30, has been the subject of various interpretations and applications in Christian teaching. Here are some common interpretations of this parable. First, the literal interpretation. Some interpretations view this parable quite literally, emphasizing the idea that there are both wheat, true believers, and tares, unbelievers or false believers, in the world. This interpretation underscores the coexistence of good and evil in society and the ultimate judgment by God. Second, the spiritual application. Many interpretations take a more symbolic or allegorical approach. Wheat represents true believers, while tares symbolize false believers or those who are deceitful. The field represents the world. The sower is Jesus, and the enemy is Satan. The harvest is the end of the age or the final judgment. Thirdly is the eschatological interpretation. This parable can be seen as a reflection of the end times. The wheat and tares growing together symbolize the simultaneous existence of believers and unbelievers in the world until the final judgment. The harvest signifies the separation of the righteous and the wicked. Fourth is the church discipline interpretation. These interpretations emphasize the importance of church discipline. They suggest that the parable teaches that within the Christian community, there will be both genuine believers and false professors of faith. The church has a role in maintaining purity and discipline within its membership. Fifth is the tolerance and patience interpretation. This interpretation emphasizes the importance of patience and tolerance in dealing with those who may initially appear as tares but could still come to faith. It encourages believers to avoid hasty judgment and allow time for people to change. Sixth is the social and political interpretations. In this broader context, this parable has been used to address societal issues, emphasizing that in the world, there will always be both good and evil forces. It can be seen as a call for a patient and wise approach to addressing social and political challenges. Seventh is the salvation and redemption interpretation. These interpretations focus on the potential for redemption and conversion. They suggest that even those who initially seem like tares may have the opportunity to turn to faith and become true believers. Eighth is the parable of warning interpretation. This parable can serve as a warning to both believers and unbelievers, highlighting the consequences of one's actions and the ultimate accountability in the judgment. These interpretations illustrate the parable's flexibility in conveying spiritual and moral lessons in various contexts. Different Christian traditions and theologians may emphasize specific aspects of the parable, but the core message often revolves around the coexistence of good and evil, God's ultimate judgment, and the importance of patience, discernment, and purity in the Christian community.